to put the recording on, so I've done that now. So because it shifts, it essentially is able to get allows us to get rid of it during the stacking. If you don't dither, then all those white spots are in the same way, and actually it's much harder to get rid of them. So that's why we dither, and that's why the rejection works so well in getting rid of them. And that's why when you look at the final one, whoops, there is no sign of those white spots in the image. They've disappeared.
Yeah, just a mark.
The other way of getting rid of them is to make a bad pixel map, isn't it?
You can make a bad pixel map, which is also called the cosmetic correction as well. So you can do that. But because I've got lots of subs and I've never really bothered because it gets rid of them effectively. But you can absolutely do them with the cosmetic correction.
Sure.
And just for completeness, the dithering is at the capture stage.
At the capture stage, yeah. So you need to, as you capture the images, you need to instruct your software so that it actually moves it. So the software in Go2, for example, uses the SkyX, and the way that that's been set up is that between every image, it dithers automatically by 2 or 3 pixels. Okay. So that's the first one. The second question was around bottoms up fits. So if I go Teams, I think
that was like a nice language, Gordon.
It is actually.
So somewhere in this, I can do a whiteboard, but I don't quite know how to do that. Hold on a second. If I could do a whiteboard, I can draw something.
But there isn't one there.
No, I found it yesterday, so I don't know what I'm doing. Is that it? Sticker, more? No. Anyway, so I can't find it, so I can't do that. But if you essentially, Tim, it's just a coordinate system. So it's where you choose the origin of the image. So you either choose it to be the bottom left or the top left.
Yeah.
Okay, and it doesn't really matter which one you choose, as long as you're consistent.
Okay. Does that mean there's a possibility you might end up with images coming from different places that have different data orientations?
That's possible, but you can. But the alignment, alignment can actually deal with that.
Yeah. I guess I just don't understand why you will want to worry about this bottoms up thing, or why you might have files with different data formats.
So my advice is not to worry about it, but just make sure you leave it to be exactly the same. It doesn't matter which one you pick, as long as you're consistent.
Okay.
So I've had problems in the past where I've got master files taken with that in. Hold on a second. Okay. Jonathan now thinks he's here. Let's have a look. There's still nobody in the lobby.
Might be in the wrong lobby.
Yeah, I think it's in the wrong lobby.
I was yesterday. That's why I arrived late.
Yeah, he's got the wrong one.
If there's a small pot of flowers and a spittoon, it's the wrong lobby. Well, I finished my lunch. I can put my video on now.
Have you wiped your chin?
Pardon?
Have you wiped your chin?
I have, yes, Mark. Thank you very much for that. I haven't blurred my background. Maybe I should do that. Not sure. Well, you look like you're in a greenhouse, Nick.
Well, I'm in the granary. It's just that I'm saving bitrate.
Is it? There, okay.
Okay, let me send this again. We'll see if Jonathan appears now.
Colin, I loaded that file you sent us.
Yep. Did it work?
No, all it did was configured the program with it's got all your favourites in there now. But all the file paths it couldn't find because they're your file paths.
Ah. So did it not have two things in there? The XOSOM and the data file? There should be two things. There should be a directory and a project.
Yeah, one was the project, yeah. Hang on.
I've never tried to send the project before, so I don't know if it works or not.
Right, okay. I'll
If they're in, I'm hoping that if they're in the two subdirectories, that will work. If they're in the same, so they ought to be in the same directory, and if you just double click the project, it ought to be able to find the data. No luck.
Nearly there. Let's have that load project. It's looking good so far.
Okay. It should look like my screen when you got it open.
Right, still running.
It does take a while. Okay, I think he's here.
Yeah, got it all by the looks of it.
That's great. Okay, I think Jonathan's here too.
I think I'm loading, so it
Jonathan
should be okay.
is now joining.
Yep, I'm there.
Got that? Excellent. That's great.
Thanks very much, Colin.
You're welcome. I'm glad. Well, that's something else we know now, that we can send projects and PixInsight, and that works fine. Okay, so your next question was around what processes have we used, and so it's probably a good time to introduce you to the History Explorer. So the History Explorer, at least on my screen, is the bottom left. It's one of the processes there, and then it's got a drop-down list, which allows you to select the view. So if you select RGB, that will shows you the initial state, and if you click on it,
Where was the History Explorer again? There.
so it's on the left-hand side. It's one of the Explorer.
Yeah, I don't have it, so I need to go to what? View,
Explorer windows, and then History Explorer.
Oh, goody. I've got it.
So if you then choose the History Explorer, hopefully it shows you all the steps that we've done to create it.
Well, it says no view select. It's blank with no view selected at the bottom.
Yeah. So it's a drop-down list. So just choose a view. So choose RGB, whichever, and you ought to see all the steps you took. So we combined it. We changed the name. We cropped it. We did background neutralization, and then we did color calibration.
Oh.
Okay.
So there's nothing. My History Explorer is blank.
Your History Explorer is blank. So you've got to check if your History Explorer is blank, then it's probably saying no view selected.
At the
So
bottom.
there's a drop-down list at the bottom, and you just choose the view you want, in which case we're going to choose RGB, and it's going to show you then all the processes that you did for RGB.
I've got lots of RGB processes.
So it's just the views, right? So choose, it doesn't really matter which one you choose. I'm choosing, we chose two, remember, we had RGB, and then we did one with the photometric color calibration.
All right, I'm trying to move this thing out of the way. How do you move? I've done something. I haven't got your screen anymore. Oh, cool. Show me. So I haven't got your screen anymore, Colin. I've done something on, sorry about this. Show participants. No, yeah, no, no, more actions. Share screen. No. Unshare screen. Yes, your screen's disappeared. Oh, has it? Wait a minute, what's that? No, it hasn't got it back now. Sorry about that. So under History Explorer, you chose what?
So if you choose History Explorer,
Yeah,
it might well say no view selected.
right.
You won't see anything. So there's a drop-down list. You choose on the drop-down list. You choose one of the views, and it will show you all the states that were required to make that happen.
Okay, I've done that.
Yep.
So I chose one called RGB M81, which I must have called it. And I've got 4 states: initial state, image identifier, dynamic crop, and photometric color calibration.
Yeah, so that's the other one you chose, right? That's what my other one would look like.
You've got 3. Anyway, I get the idea.
Yeah. So if you go to, I'm going to choose this one with dynamic crop and background neutralization. If you were to click on, say, background neutralization and double click on it, it will open up the background neutralization with exactly the parameters you use and you chose for that particular step.
Oh, so which one did you choose in the back drop-down menu?
So I chose the RGB. I chose the other. Remember, we processed 2 color images yesterday. That's the one with the channel combination, background neutralization, and color calibration.
Yeah, I chose the color, so that's fine.
Yeah. And then you just double click on one of the processes.
Yeah.
And it will open up the process with exactly the parameters that we use in that particular case.
Gotcha.
Okay. If you open up the image that's associated with that, and you're going to go to the History Explorer, if you click in the left-hand column, it will actually take, or double click in the left-hand column, it will take you back to what that image looks like at that particular step.
Right, I have to shut that window first, so I won't do that. Go back.
Oh my God, yeah.
I'm trying to click in the left-hand column. I don't know, on that little black arrow thing.
That column, but supposing you choose step number 1, you double click just in that column on the left, just to the left of number 1, double click, and it will take you back to what it looks like in that particular state.
Take me back to what?
Whatever you did.
You open up the image associated with that view.
Okay, sorry.
And if you double click on it, it'll show you what the image looks like in that particular step.
Gotcha. Okay, I hadn't opened the image. It was sitting minimized.
I like that.
Okay.
That's clever.
So that allows you to go backwards and forwards. It allows you to see what you've done. It allows you to go backwards at any particular time. So if you want to go back, you can take an image of that. You can take a clone of that at that particular stage, and then go forwards if you so wanted to.
And I guess in particular, if you wanted to find the same bit that you previewed in order to apply it to something else, you can pick off the values and replicate.
That's all in there, yeah. And that's very helpful if you process an image and you say, I did something wrong at the very beginning. You can actually go and very quickly take those same things and apply them to different image and get through very quickly if you've done that.
So does that mean, if you, let's suppose you had a whole list of things in there, you're saying you could go back, say, redo process number 2, and then you could get it to apply all the rest of the processes you already applied.
No, it won't do that. It won't do that. So if that's what you wanted to do, what you could do is to say, okay, let's.
I don't want to. It's all right.
Yeah, if you did, you could go back to the channel combination step and then take a clone.
Okay.
Then you can go through dynamic crop and just drag it on there.
Okay, right. Good.
You can background utilization, same thing. And the color calibration, same thing. And it will just repeat them. So it's very quick to be able to go from a clone and redo a step, make a change, and go from there. So that's how you would do it if you wanted to go back and make that change. But you can do it very quickly.
Okay.
Okay. So you can do the same thing with the undo and redo. You can sort of go back steps on the undo and redo. But you can also, of course, bring up the processes, which is very helpful. Actually see what you actually did. Okay. So just going back to what we actually did yesterday, we started off by, we used the batch processing scripts to create the master files. We then opened up the master files for RGB and combined them into one RGB image. We then color calibrated that. So we calibrated the background and made sure that the colors were the same intensity, so that you had a nice gray color as opposed to a green or a sepia color in this case. And then we actually chose to use either the photometric color calibration or the color calibration step to actually get the colors balanced properly in the galaxy. And you can see all of that in History Explorer.
So let me just see if I can see that in history. So I'm getting it, get a bit. So which one? What did we do that with? We did that with. Okay, so if I opened, I've got one called Light Filter B Binning, which is just the blue one. Yeah. If I open that, I only don't get much.
Well, that's nothing. Yeah, that's just the raw file. So you've got no data there. So you actually want to choose one of the views that you actually did the processing on. So we had two. I've got mine that are called RGB and RGB PCC, but you might have called them different things. But we chose one with the calibration, with the background calibration and the color calibration, and one where we just applied photometric color calibration.
So I've got one that goes initial state, background utilization, color calibration.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. So the step where we open files, right? And what was that called? That was batch process what?
So we used that was on the script, and batch processing, and we chose either batch pre-processing or weighted batch pre-processing.
So it was script, and we chose either batch processing or weighted batch processing.
Batch pre-processing or weighted batch pre-processing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, and that's how we prepared the masters. And once we've done that, we then combine them into one color, balance the colors. Okay. What we then did was take a clone of the luminance image. We applied the same cropping to that. We then took a clone of it. We made a star mask and we saved the star mask. Then we made a luminance mask by taking this and applying a permanent stretch to it. We then convolved it slightly to blur it. And then we played with the histogram a little bit to get a slightly better star mask, a slightly better luminance mask.
And at a high level, what's the purpose of a luminance mask?
So what you want to do when we go on to some processes in a minute, we're gonna try deconvolution in a minute. And what you want to do is only apply deconvolution where it's bright. When you look at smoothing, you want to smooth where it's dim. So that basically allows you to sort of apply preferentially the process where it's either bright or dim. Okay. So what we're going to try now is deconvolution. And before we do that, we need to make one more mask. So what we're going to do is go to processes, and there's under processes something called pixel math, and there's one process in there called pixel math.
Sorry, which menu was that again, Colin?
Processes, pixel math, and then it's just called pixel math.
Thank you.
And what this allows you to do is literally do mathematics on the values of your pixels. And what we're going to do is create a new mask, which is a combination of the luminance mask and the star mask. What we want to do, we're going to use this in deconvolution. And one of the problems with deconvolution is it often leads to ringing. And so what you can do is create a mask, which is, you want it to, the deconvolution to act where you've got signal, so in the bright parts of the galaxy, but you don't want it to act around stars because that can cause ringing. So what you can do is you want to sort of basically have the luminance mask, but take out the stars from that as best as possible. And the way we're going to do that is if you click on the RGBK box, you can actually type things in there. What we're going to do is click on the expression editor.
Right.
Okay. And we're going to type $T, and $T is basically the value of the target pixel. So that's basically the image we're going to work on. Okay. And then we're going to multiply that by 1 minus the star mask. So you type $T times 1 minus, then you double click on the star mask in the image in the under the sort of the images box to the right, and then you close brackets. Okay. Does everybody have that? $T times 1 minus star mask, close brackets.
Yep.
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 Okay.
Typed it in the wrong place.
Nearly.
$T times, is that open bracket 1 minus star mask?
That's it. $T times open bracket 1 minus star mask, close bracket.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So you can check that that's all right. You can click parse, and if there's any problem with your expression, it'll tell you. So you can see that's a way of checking that the grammar's right, and then you can hit OK, and that will then take you back to the pixel math that you saw.
Right.
All right. Then if you go to the destination box, we want to create a new image, and we want to give that image a name, and I'm going to call it HDRW mask. And the reason I'm doing that is that I use it in a process which is got the initials HDRW later on.
Okay.
You can call it whatever you like, but just call it something different you'll remember it by.
What did you call it?
HDRW.
I'll call it that.
HDRW mask.
So earlier on, when you were doing the expression 1 minus star mask, did you
Yeah.
tell it where the star mask was?
No. If you go to the expression editor, you'll see that it's got a list of the images. Okay. So it knows that that's actually the image that you're talking about.
Oh, I see. And I
Just from the name.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double click the name, it picks it up, Max.
That's
Isn't
it.
that clever?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
once you've got that, all you do is again take the triangle and apply it to the luminance mask, and it should create something which looks like this, which is the luminance mask with black holes in it where the stars are.
Can we just go back slightly, Colin? This business of getting that image ID into the box, how did you do that?
Just type it.
Okay, what image ID am I supposed to be typing?
Any name you like. So this will create a new image with whatever name you give it.
Oh, okay.
New name, to be fair.
A new name. Yeah, and if it's not a new name, it'll add 1 to it or something, add a number to it to make it unique.
Okay.
When I did that, mine was all black until I stretched it.
What's black, sorry?
The HDR mask was black.
So,
and then I stretched it, and now I've got the gap.
So you want to drag it onto the luminance mask,
Oh,
and that shouldn't need stretching.
right.
So Colin, my screen doesn't quite look like yours. I've got like black dots in the centre of the galaxy and the stars.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it should look like.
Okay, because yours doesn't look like that on the screen.
Got,
Yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
no, still haven't got it.
Mine comes up as a fail, so I've obviously done something wrong there. So what we're using the mask.
You're dragging it onto the luminance mask.
Oh,
Yeah, with the triangle.
That's it.
oh, right, wrong. God, there's so many images, so I think I dragged it onto the wrong one. Okay, I've got that.
So what I find is it's easier to just drag, iconize the images and keep them on the top right, and just have the one you're working on, and get rid of it and just put everything else onto the right. Otherwise, it does get very cluttered. Okay. So again, solid T times 1 minus star mask close brackets, and then just drag that onto the luminance mask, and that will create a new mask that looks like that.
No, failed miserably.
Okay. So what are you dragging it onto the luminance? What's it coming up with, Martin? What does it say?
It comes up with a process window, process console, error, channel index specification must follow an image or variable identifier. $T times 1 minus star mask. Yeah, that's there. Star mask is there.
Do you just want to share your screen?
Is the T capital or lowercase? Does it matter?
Capital T, and I think it does matter.
Aha. Standby caller.
Well spotted, Max.
It's an old Fortran programmer's trick.
No.
Oh, well.
Picked up from there. 1.4.
So how long did it take to learn this, Colin, to the point where you became comfortable with it and you knew what you were doing?
Not that long. I mean, there was a series when I learned. There's a guy called Harry Page, who some of you might know, and he's got a series of videos, 4 or 5 minute videos, and I just followed those and learned how to do it from that way.
My experience, such as it is, which is by no means as far as this at all, is that also you need to do it reasonably frequently. Now in British weather, that's not a problem. But your processing is done most evenings rather than capturing. But it is one of these things where you need to stop those skills from rusting quickly.
You do need to practice. And, I'm happy to get, when we've gone through this one, I'm happy to give you more data to practice on if that's useful.
I've got lots of I've got my own data. Well, I want to get comfortable with knowing how to use it, because until now I've been using star tools, and I'm it's nowhere near as complex and therefore probably nowhere near as powerful. But it's sort of, you can learn it in 10 minutes and then tweak it as you go along. It's process oriented rather than form oriented. This has really got a lot more to it, but it's a bit overwhelming at the beginning.
No, I'm still failing at this end for some unknown reason. Can't work.
Do you want to share your screen, Martin? We'll have a look.
No, it's on another PC.
Oh, the PC. You can't do that. Okay. You've been too clever.
I doubt that.
Okay. So are they the same size? Your luminance mask and your star mask, are they the same? They should be the same size.
They should be the same size, shouldn't they? Yeah.
It should be the same size.
Same object.
So that's the first thing to do, is just to take the star mask and apply it as a mask. If you can do that, then you know it's the same size.
Oh yeah, that's an idea. Right, star mask over the top of that. So take tab and apply to grey bit. Yes, comes out as a red.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, so that's okay.
Yeah. Have you got the box ticked use a single RGBK expression?
Yes.
Okay. And why don't you cut and paste what? Oh, you can't do that again because you can't use the same thing. I was going to say you can't put it into the chat menu. It should be $T times 1 minus star mask.
In square brackets.
Oh no, round brackets.
Aha.
Ah, that's why. Yeah, if you do square brackets, that's again, it follows a C syntax, so it thinks you're actually talking about a particular RGB channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Got it?
Well done.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Very good. So
I'll put square brackets in that. I don't know. Oh well, whatever.
okay. So hopefully you've all got a mask which looks something like the one I've got here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. So we can cancel the pixel math. We can now iconize those and stick those away for now. Okay.
Splendid.
Oh, wait a minute. So I'm a bit behind you there. What you just do? You shut the pixel math.
Yep. So if you got, all I did is the little minus on the image.
Yeah, you iconize. Yeah.
Iconize and then drag it over to the right.
Got you. Right. Done.
Okay. So you've got a nice clear screen.
Well, sort of.
All right. So the next thing we want to do is to try and sharpen the image. We want to use deconvolution. So for those of you who've got a scientific background, you probably know what this means. The image is effectively blurred by the Earth's atmosphere, but you can measure that blurring by seeing what it does to a star shape. And then what you can try and do is take that out and make the image a bit sharper. So the first thing to do is actually to measure the star shape. And we're going to do that in the Process Explorer. For those of you who picked up my favorite, you should be able to pick up, it's called a dynamic PSF. It's under my favorites. And let me just see if I can work out where that is.
Under image.
Under image. Oh, thank you very much. So it's under image, dynamic PSF. And no surprise. Oh yeah, it's actually got data. It's actually got a process written about that one. That's good. And it should open up something which looks like this.
Is that dynamic PSF? Sorry.
Dynamic PSF, yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, there's an entire book about that.
So now what you want to do is click on a number of stars in the image. All right. So what you want to do is look at column A when you've clicked on a couple, and that gives you the amplitude. And you can see the amplitude of the star is over 1. If it's over 1, it means it's saturated. And that's actually no good because you can't actually work out the star shape. So you want to have some stars which are not quite as bright as those.
So can you easily remove them?
Yes, I'll show you how to do that in a minute.
Colin, can you just tell me which file we're working on? Because I can't read it from your screen. And I haven't got it.
Sorry, it's the luminance file, the luminance file image. So it's the unstretched luminance master. All we've done to it so far is crop it.
Sorry, where do I find it then? Because it's not on my screen at the moment.
So it's if you picked it up from me,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's obviously it should be the very far right of the screen. I've got a much bigger screen. It may be that you just can't see it.
Ah, could be. I'll have a look.
You say it's the unstretched luminance one.
Yeah. So
Because the unstretched one is just very black. I have to.
Correct. You can then stretch it. You can do a screen stretch on it, but it's not permanently stretched. Okay. So, Mark, if you go to the window, there's something called arrange icons. The window menu, and halfway down is something called arrange icons. And yep. I'm hoping that will then actually put them in the right place so you can see them. Does that work?
Oh, that's good.
Sorry, where was that?
I've only got
under the window menu.
Yeah.
The window menu, something called arrange icons. Just click it, and it hopefully will move everything to the top right, so you can actually see it. Okay,
I'm having a bit of a problem with the dynamic PSF because it read out on the very first star, but then if the next stars, whatever I click, it just comes back and says no significant data.
Okay, I don't know why that is. So if that's the case, kill it and start. Kill dynamic PSF and just do it again.
So how many are you looking for in this process?
You need at least 5 good stars, but in order to get 5 good stars, you probably need 5 or 10, at least sort of 10 stars altogether.
What's a good star? Is it a bigger one that's blown out, or a moderate one, or a tiny one?
You want an amplitude, an A value of somewhere ideally between 0.1 and 0.8. So but not too dim and not too bright.
0.1 and 0.8. Okay, so one of 1 point something is going to be a blown star, is it?
That's a blown star, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And if it's too dim, you won't get the signal to noise ratio you need.
Okay, a lot of them are quite blown out.
Yeah, that's all right. There's plenty now which aren't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So interestingly, I got 2, and then when I clicked on the third one, it goes no significant data.
Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. So
mine seems to be doing okay, but
okay, folks, I'm cool to that, but I'm not sure what parameters we're using on that. What was it again?
It's just called dynamic PSF.
Dynamic PSF, got that up. I can select a star, yes, but then what am I looking for?
Or you just click a bunch of stars for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's a Moffat?
A Moffat is just the name of a type of fitting function for stars, for star shapes.
Little Miss Moffat.
According to Moffat, yes.
As opposed to a Tuffet.
She was the daughter of a well-known arachnologist, spider specialist.
Yeah.
I don't know how to help you out though, Jonathan. It sounds like there could be a bug in the PixInsight module. I don't know why it's not allowing you to find more stars.
So do we want, say, 10 in total, some of which are blown out, or do we need...
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Well, if we're going to remove all the ones which are blown out. I'll show you how to do that in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. So hopefully I've got 20 odd selected.
Oh, have you? Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Quite there.
So when you've got a bunch selected, what we're going to do, there's a button which is got a sort of down arrow, and it says sort the list of stars by selectable criteria. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we click on that and we choose amplitude. Right. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of stars which go from 0.05 all the way up to 1.2. So I'm going to select all the stars between 0.8 and 1.8 and get rid of them. So you just, again, you click on the first one, you do shift click, and that will select a range.
So what range do you want it to?
Anything above 0.8, I'll get rid of.
Anything above 0.8, you've got rid of. That's virtually all of mine.
Okay, so let's click on some dimmer stars then, Max.
Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. Sorry, of course, they're not in numerical order anymore, are they? So, okay. Did you get rid of them?
You need to sort. So it's a 2-step process. You sort the list.
Yeah, done that.
by amplitude. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you get rid of the ones.
Would you
So
click?
you select the ones that which have got low numbers, which have got high numbers rather.
Yeah.
And when you've done that, you press the minus button, and that will get rid of those bright stars.
Brilliant.
Okay. And then you do the same thing with the dim stars. Anything up to about 0.1, anything below 0.1, again, get rid of.
I just get a little bit confused as to 0.1 in which column, because I've got so many columns and I can't
It's
see.
column A. It's the amplitude you're looking at.
Amplitude. Okay.
So B is the background value, so that's the sort of average value nearby. A is the amplitude. CX and CY, I think, are the positions. SX and SY are basically the size of the of the star.
I've got 4 left.
4 left. Well, you probably want to click a few more. But if you look, you'll get some idea of which stars are actually the right brightness for you to add.
Yeah.
How many do we want in the list, Colin?
At least 5.
Okay.
Once you've removed the ones below 0.1 and above 0.8.
Can you scroll to the top of your list, please? Because I can see Lum comes up. I just want to see what you've got. Yeah, no, yes, sadly I've got Lum, but it won't let me. I keep closing and opening it. I'm getting slightly different results each time.
You should get different numbers because you're clicking on different stars.
No, well, no, I'm talking about numbers of stars because it's allowing me to select.
To select. There's something clearly wrong. I think something you should report on the forums and ask for help, because that doesn't sound right to me.
Okay.
So when we've got through this and we've created a PSF image, I will put it on the Dropbox and you can pick it up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Salt. Amplitude. Okay, so it's 0.1 and 0.8.
Anything, but get rid of below anything below 0.1, anything above 0.8.
And how many did we want again?
At least 5. Ideally a bit more.
Three, 6, 7.
That's very odd. I'm probably giving you another one now.
Was that Jonathan? So,
Yes. When I've zoomed, actually, I'm now getting better results.
okay, that's good. That's a bit odd.
Every time.
Maybe it's not clicking on the stars. Maybe that's the problem. You're not clicking close enough to the stars. I don't know.
Maybe. I wouldn't have thought that was a problem, but
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Okay. Have you all done that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. So the next thing to do is click on the sort again, and this time you click on mean absolute difference, and do the same thing again. And if you go to the very right, you'll see a column which is labelled mean MAD, which is mean absolute difference. And what you'll see is that there's a range of numbers in there. Okay. There's one which is quite small, and I've got numbers which are sort of typically between 4 and 6, and I've got some which go up to 7 and 1. Now, the ones which have got poor fits on them, there's probably something unusual about the star. Maybe it's a double star, maybe it's a small galaxy. There's some problem with it. If you've got a big mean absolute difference, it's saying that the fit isn't of very good quality. So you just want to choose the ones which just look like outliers and get rid of them. So I'm gonna get rid of everything above 0.7 in my example here. But you should just, anything which looks like an outlier, just get rid of. Either it's too small or it's too big.
Okay, so to be clear, the number in the MAD column is sort of an E number, right? So e to the 4. So
E to the minus 4, yeah.
So okay, and so ignoring the e to the minus 4, you want numbers in what? range?
It doesn't really matter. You just choose the ones which are. You'll get a sense of what the sizes are from looking at the smallest one, and if you get some which look just not look way terribly low or terribly high, then just get rid of them.
Okay.
It's probably something wrong with the star. It's probably a double star or something that's maybe it's not very terribly good fit.
Okay.
And that's looking in the MAD column, MAD column.
MAD column, yeah. The MAD column is essentially a measure of how good the fit is.
Sure.
Star
Okay.
shape.
Right.
So Jonathan here, I'm fine. I've selected them. So I've
Excellent.
clicked an amplitude.
Yep.
I'm just making sure I'm at the right step because I've
Yep.
messing
So
around
click on
trying to
amplitude. Yep. And then from there, if you go to column A is the amplitude, and you want to get rid of anything with an amplitude below about 0.1, and you want to delete everything above 0.8. And you
and how do you do that? Click on the red minus.
Yeah, you select them with sort of shift click and then hit minus to delete them.
Okay.
Okay, and then when you've done that, you do it by mean absolute difference, and that's the very rightmost hand column. And again, you're looking for particularly anything which looks like an anomalously large value. It probably means it just means the fit isn't terribly good, and you want to get rid of it.
So that's anything greater than 0.9.
Well, the only way to do it is by taking a look at the other numbers that you've got there.
Right.
And something which is just looks anomalously bigger than you've got, then you can get rid of it.
In column A, yeah.
So the first one is the amplitude. So you get rid of anything above 0.8 and anything below 0.1. You done that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you do the same thing you saw, but this time you sort on mean absolute difference, which is on the very far right. It's called MAD, M-A-D, and that's basically the goodness of fit to the star profile. And you get rid of anything which has got particularly large MAD numbers.
What do you call particularly large? Man are all fairly consistent, to be honest.
Yeah, so they're fairly consistent, that's okay. But I had some numbers which went up from, typically they're going from sort of 4 to 7, 4 to 6, and I had some numbers which were sort of 8 and 1, 8 and 10 rather.
Yeah, mine are mostly everything's below 2.5, everything's between 1 and 1.2.
Okay. In the MAD, there should be something like 10 to the minus 4.
No, 1.227 to the minus 2. So they're all in that kind of range, really. Although, because I zoomed in quite a lot, I probably picked on smaller stars and looking at.
Well, what's the amplitude? The amplitude, if the amplitude is between sort of 0.1 and 0.2, that's so between 0.1 and 0.8, that's fine.
0.22, 0.20, there's a 0.31, a 0.49.
Yeah, okay, they sound good. All right. So so what you do is you choose a bunch of stars, you select it by amplitude, you get rid of ones which are very low brightness, you get rid of the ones which are very high brightness. You then sort it by mean absolute difference, and you get rid of the ones for which there's not a very good fit to the star shape. And when you've done that, first thing you can do is select all the stars you've got left. And if they've all got the same fitted function, they've all got Moffat, then what you can do is to press the average number, and it will give you an average of the star shape.
Okay. Sorry, so you select them all.
Select them all, and there's a little thing which says like a sum. There's an icon which is like a sum.
So where is that?
It's in the it's just below
the auto sum
table.
Yeah. So you click that, do you?
Yeah, click that, and it will tell you what's the average properties. Now, if you've got, sometimes you'll get things which are Moffat, sometimes they'll be Gaussian, and if that happens, it can't average them. It can only average them if they're the same star shape, same function that's used. But if it can do that, it'll give you some idea of the quality of the image. And again, you can see that the roundness here is very good. It's 0.97, which says that the stars are very round. And it tells you, sorry?
Which one? Oh, is that R? R for round.
Yeah. It tells you the average is pretty good. It tells you that you've got about 3 to 3.5 pixels of size, which again is perfect because if you're below 3, you're undersampled.
Right.
Okay, so it's telling you that the sampling is about optimum. You've got nice small stars, and you've got nice round stars. So that's very good. So once you've got that, you click on the little camera icon, and that will actually create a synthetic shape of your typical star.
Okay.
It's square.
Yeah.
Right.
You got that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you've got that, you can close the dynamic PSF. And again, you can iconize the PSF and drop it over to the right.
Mine seems to have got stuck in the top left-hand corner of the pane. I would have been. I could probably Can I undo that?
What's got stuck, Nick?
Well, I used the camera in the bottom of the average star data.
Yeah.
Rather than the camera in the strip immediately beneath the values pane. And it's got, oh, I see.
I can only see one camera on mine. I don't know where.
Oh, well, on the average star data pane, the one where, you've got a little camera on the bottom left.
I haven't noticed that before, but yes, you should be able to do the same thing.
Oh, wait a minute. 2 shakes. I think what might be happening is that I've got to. It's all right. Sorry. Yeah. So you. So just bear with me a moment, therefore. So you end up with the. Could you just go back to the point at which you had got the little square and that's it. That's fine.
Yeah. So then, then again, just iconize it and get it off to the right here.
And it's called what's it called? It's called itself. What?
PSF.
Oh, I see. Yes, I was going to see to make sure I pull up the right icons.
It's short for point spread function, I think.
It is. You're quite right.
Fine.
And do you close dynamic PSF?
Yeah, you can close it now.
Some other stuff open from last time, actually. That.
How's everybody doing?
Good. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody not completed that step?
Nick, okay.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Sorry,
Right.
Can you just, so what we should have is in that little camera, it shows a picture of a star.
That's it. Yeah.
So that's all we need to do.
Yeah, it should look something like that.
I can't see it on your screen, actually. Yes, except mine's a bit better quality because it's smaller, but I'm sure when I zoom it up. Yes, that's right. Yes, I've got that.
Yeah. So again, you just iconize it and put it away for now. Okay. So what we're next going to do is try deconvolution. Deconvolution actually takes quite a while to run. So what we want to do then is just run it on a small portion of the image to get the parameters correct before we run it on the total image. So again, you need to create a preview, and what you want to do is create the preview over some part of the interesting part of the galaxy, but also some blank space. So I've taken, you can see where I've taken it here, just in the bottom right-hand section. So you've got a bit of cloud and a bit of a sort of blank space there. Has everybody got that? And it should look something like that.
Alt N, wasn't it?
Alt N, yeah. Or I think was it Command N or was it Option N? I can't remember. Jonathan.
I've been going through the image actually, image mode and new.
Yeah, okay. Do it that way.
It was Option N, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you got a small part of the image, and then we're gonna look at that. Okay. What we're also going to do though, we're going to create a couple more previews so that we can look at different settings. So all you do there is grab the preview and drag it down to a blank bit of the grey of the grey, and that will create a 2 or 3 which are exactly the same. Okay. You got that?
Can't seem to. Oh, I see. Yeah.
You just take the preview you created, drag it down onto the grey bar, and that should create a duplicate of it. And you want them to be exactly the same so that you can compare the outputs.
Yeah.
All right. So what we need to do now is apply a mask. So if you click on the select mask icon, the one we're going to choose is the one I called HDRW mask.
So which was select mask? Which?
So if you go to the top here, I've got masks up here. I've got select mask, which looks like it's got sort of cross-hatched on the left and white on the right. Or you can do Control M if that's easier.
Or the mask menu and select mask.
Or the mask menu and select mask, yeah. And the one we're going to choose is HDRW mask. It's the one we created from the pixel math expression.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wow. Mask, select mask.
Yeah, that's worked.
Yeah.
Find the map.
Which one do we want? The HDR one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Is that the one where we put the 2 other masks together?
That's correct, yeah. Because this can create ringing, and you want to try and stop ringing where possible. Right. The other thing we're going to do is to stop the red display, because it's a bit irritating. So once you've got a mask displayed on the top, the series of icons at the top there are now active, and what we're going to click is the one that's the enable disable mask. That's the wrong one. Sorry.
Show or hide.
Show or hide mask. It's the one to the very right. So we want the mask applied, but we don't actually want to see it. And when that happens, the mask will go away. But what you'll notice is that all the tabs are now coloured sort of orange.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the top mask, show mask, unshow mask works under the words.
Yep, that's probably there too. Yep. Show mask and get rid of it. Okay. So now the mask is applied, but we're not seeing it. So that allows actually see what's going on underneath.
Right.
Okay. And the next thing we're going to do is the deconvolution. So again, under the process, there's something called a deconvolution, and there's a process called deconvolution there. So the first thing we're going to do is tell it which PSF, which point spread function we're going to use. And we're using one called there's 3 tabs there, and one we're using is the external PSF. And it says view identifier. So you click just to the right of that, and that allows you to select a view. And what we're going to do is choose the one that's called PSF, that was created from the dynamic PSF function.
Can you slow down a bit, Colin, please?
So what did you? I've got deconvolution open. So
yeah, deconvolution. And at the top, there are 3 tabs. Under the PSF one, there are 3 tabs.
Yeah.
parametric, motion blur, and external.
Yeah.
We're going to use external.
Right.
And under that, it asks us to identify a view. And a view is just PixInsight's name for an open file. So if you click on select view, and it'll give you a drop-down list, and we're going to include PSF. We're going to choose PSF in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it should look like your little star when it's actually chosen.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to choose the regularized Richardson-Lucy. But we're going to increase the number of iterations to 50 in the first instance. We're going to leave wavelet regularization ticked, but we're going to use the default so we can close that section. But we're going to open up the de-ringing. And we're going to tick de-ringing. And we're also going to click local de-ringing. And it says under local support, we're going to choose the star mask. And what that basically does is it gives it a local mask. So we're doing belt and braces here. We've got the luminance mask for the HDRW mask, which has got the stars there. And we're also telling it to use the star mask inside the process as well.
Yes.
Actually, let's for now let's take the iterations down to 10 again while we experiment, because what we'll have to do is the only tricky parameter here is the global dark parameter, and so let's do it with a relatively small number of iterations to begin with. All right. So you've chosen the external PSF, 10 iterations. You've ticked de-ringing, and you've chosen local de-ringing and the star mask. Everything else is at the default values. Yeah, has everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then again, you take your triangle and you drop it onto one of the previews. That doesn't look right.
That's quite good, actually.
I've got an error in my process.
Yeah, I've got a process that doesn't look right at all.
It said de-ringing. I can't read what it says. My process console says de-ring incompatible image geometry.
I end up with the same as yours, Colin.
So do I.
Local divergence. Yeah. So just going to cheat for a second.
Oh.
Star mask. Local de-ringing. Okay. Yeah, I get the same error when that. If I unclick the local de-ringing box, the error goes away, but it says the star mask doesn't like the star mask.
Doesn't like the star mask.
No.
So the issue is that the global dark is actually far too high. Well, let's have a check.
What's it actually meant to do anyway?
It's actually meant to sharpen the image. There you go.
Oh.
So the issue is that the global dark is too big. So the global dark number, I think the default is 0.1. It's actually much too large. So if you have 0.1 in there,
Yeah.
And we run it, it should give you lots of global divergences very quickly, and it looks horrible.
Yes.
How do you undo that stage, Colin?
So you, with a preview, if
Yeah.
you just reapply a process, it starts again from the fresh, afresh.
Oh,
But
right.
you can also do Control-Shift-Z, and it will allow you to compare what it was like previously and then afterwards.
You can also undo it by right click, and then you get a pane, the top of which is undo deconvolution.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Okay. But if you just apply it again, actually, it turns out that it starts, it actually doesn't actually apply the process. It always starts again from the fresh one.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Yeah. So if you do 0.01 and do it, it should start to look a lot better. And if you do Control-Shift-Z, it will go. It takes you from the one image to the other. And what you can see, hopefully, is you can start to see that the stars are a bit sharper, that you've actually got slightly better visualization of the sort of the galaxy structure. It's much better defined.
So this is doing it to every layer then?
What was that?
Yeah, I can't get rid of the star mask error.
So what's the problem? It's saying that the star mask is too big. What's it?
Well, the process control, it says error, star mask de-ringing support incompatible image geometry failed.
Okay. So somehow your star mask is not the right size. I don't know why. If you take the star mask and you try and apply it as a mask to your main image, for some reason it's not the same size. I don't know quite how you manage that.
I mean, I applied it to the preview. Should I apply it to the actual main image?
Yeah, you want to apply it to the main image, yeah.
Oh.
Well, no, you want to apply the mask to the main image.
The little triangle at the bottom.
Yeah.
I dragged that to the main image.
No, that should go to the preview.
Right. So I get the same thing though. Yeah.
Okay. You get the same issue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and in the that's the star mask. And then so if I uncheck the local de-ringing, I don't get an error.
Yeah. So somehow your mask geometries are not the same.
Right.
So if you again take the star mask and drag the star mask onto the luminance tab, onto the grey bar, and if it works, it should allow you to do it.
What's the grey bar of the luminance image or the preview?
The grey bar below the preview tabs. So you've got on the luminance image.
I've got you all right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I drag that across,
yeah, it should give you little sort of double squares, and it should work. If it doesn't,
it's red.
It's red. Okay, so that's worked.
I just didn't undo and it won't go away.
Okay. Well, you actually have to sort of get rid of the mask.
What's that mask? How do I do that?
So the icons at the top, there's a bunch of mask icons. You select the mask, or you can remove the mask, which is the one next over.
I've done it. I've removed the mask, so that works.
That's all right. I don't understand why your de-ringing mask doesn't work then.
And I've got 0.1 in the global dark. Is that a problem?
Yeah, actually 0.01.
Okay, but presumably that's nothing to do with that because it has to do with the fact it doesn't like my star mask.
And I don't understand why it doesn't like it.
So just to be clear, I'm taking the little triangle, the bottom of deconvolution, and I'm dragging it onto the image, which is the luminance. Yeah?
It's the preview of the luminance, yes.
Oh, and it's working now. Oh, wait a minute, yeah. And now it's worked.
Now it's worked.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why it didn't work the first time.
No. Computers for you, eh?
Okay. But again, if you if you can apply that, what you should be able to see is you get sharper stars, and you actually get a not slightly better contrast on the galaxy structure. Yeah, has everybody got that?
Yeah.
Yes.
What we can now do is try different numbers of iterations. So let's go to 50 and apply that to the bottom preview.
So when you say apply it to the bottom preview, I assume what you mean is you drag it to the main.
So you got. Did you create 3 previews, Max?
I've created loads of previews. So
Okay.
when I dragged that triangle, I dragged it not to the thing that was a set of previews, but to the thing that was the.
So select. So if you go to the luminance image, I've got a preview here allocated, and I've got 3 identical previews of the same area.
I think I previewed the wrong thing.
Okay. So what you want is just one preview, which is over a nice bit of the galaxy, something with a bit of structure. So I've chosen the bottom right in my case, bit of structure and a bit of blank sky.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. No, it won't let me do a preview. Oh, 10, isn't it? Right, hold on.
Yeah. And then once you've got that, all you to duplicate it, all you do is take the preview and drag it down to a blank bit of the grey bar, and it will create a new preview.
Yeah, I think I created my preview in the wrong place.
Okay.
I don't know, but I have now created 3 new previews.
3 previews. So what you do is you select the bottom one, choose 50 iterations, and just drag it onto that preview. And then we're going to do 25 iterations and drag it on to the middle preview. So again, all you do is select the preview that you want.
Right, done.
So you click the preview, change the number of iterations. So I've got 10 on the top, 25, and then 50. Okay, so what you probably want to do then is zoom into a particular section so you can see a bit of stars, and then zoom in on one preview, and then what you want to do is make sure that the view is the same. So again, you take the preview on the tab and you drag it over to the tab to the next, and that will make sure that the views are synchronized.
I only created 2 previews, so can I create further ones now after I've applied the deconvolution?
Yeah, you can create another one. That's no problem. It will go back to the start. It'll go up to blank.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So you want to create, and it just allows you to see them and see the difference it makes.
I can't remember which is which.
Colin,
I can't see a huge amount. Oh.
if you've got a set of previews down the left-hand side of your image, is there any way you can change the order of them to put them into a logical sequence?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, it doesn't look like. It.
Right. I couldn't find anything that works. I've got them all jumbled up in order at the moment, but it's all right.
Well, the easiest thing to do is just start again. Go to the top one and just put 10 in. Go to the middle one and put 25 in, and go to the next one and put 50 in.
True.
So, what I found, and maybe not be the same in yours, is if I go to look, I can see a difference between 10 and 25. I can see a quite clear difference in terms of the stars look smaller and tighter. If I go to the 50 though, it looks very similar to the 25. And I know from past experience that if I do too much convolution, then actually you get sort of strange artifacts appearing in the image.
I've seen something like that with 50, Colin. I'm getting things that are likely to be sharpened something too much in Photoshop, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. So I found from practice that 25 is a good number of iterations for my images. They may be different for yours, but for mine, about 25 is right.
Okay, I can't see a lot of difference between any of them actually.
So you have to zoom in quite tightly on a small number, a small area.
Right.
So can you see mine, Max?
Yeah.
So if you look at this, if you look at the top star here,
yeah,
that's with 10.
yeah.
And if I go to 25, you can see it looks a bit smaller and tighter.
Right. Maybe it's my eyesight.
When I go to 50, it doesn't look much tighter, but I started to get a few artifacts appearing. So again, I found that 25 is the right number for my particular side of iteration. So if we choose 25 iterations, and this time we're going to apply it to the main image rather than the preview.
Okay. I still can't see a lot of image difference between them actually, but there you go, that's me.
Yeah, I'm not convinced he's taking it.
Okay, well we can do some measurements afterwards to find out.
I'm guessing when I try and drag the triangle onto the main image, it's coming back and telling me it's being used by a dynamic interface.
Okay, so you've got the dynamic PSF open somewhere, so you need to shut that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the only thing I can see is that as I go from 10 to 25 to 50, the ringing looks worse.
Yeah.
In
So the artifacts get worse as you have more ringing. So I found that if you put global dark de-ringing of 0.01, that's enough to get rid of most of the features.
Yeah.
And if I do more than 25, I can get all sorts of artifacts. So I found 25 is about the right number.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is once you've applied it, we're going to make some measurements to see what difference it's actually made. So if you remember the script menu, image analysis, full width, half max, eccentricity. What we can do is make a measurement of that luminance. And what we get is a median of 2.83 and eccentricity of 0.3327. And we got 679 stars.
That was, so I've just finished running. Image, what was that?
That's script, image analysis, full width, half max, eccentricity.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Right.
And I've just done an undo on my image. So we're going to actually measure it about what it was previously, what it was before we started. So it was 3.46, 0.2998, and 521. So what that's done by applying deconvolution, it's increased our resolution from 3.46 down to 2.83. So we've got increased resolution. And one of the best indications of that is it's found 679 stars rather than 521. It's made the eccentricity slightly worse, but not that much worse. And that's typically what I find in my images.
So it's found more stars or less?
It's found more stars after deconvolution.
And has it changed the eccentricity because the deconvolution is done variable separable, so it's X followed by Y rather than some axially symmetric process?
So I don't know exactly why the eccentricity changes, but it always does.
And upwards.
And it goes upwards. You do expect it to go downwards because you've got a slightly elongated star in the PSF. But I think part of the problem here is that you've actually got stars from across the field, and it's from a Ritchie-Chrétien telescope, which has got some natural distortions, and it's kind of averaging out those distortions and then reapplying them. But it always seems to work the same way, that it slightly increases the eccentricity, although I can guarantee you'd never notice that by looking at an individual star. But it always sharpens the stars, and it always increases the number of stars that you look at.
Yeah,
you can see it's basically taken, a slightly sort of diffuse star and sharpened it so you can actually raise it above the noise at the background, so you can actually see it. Okay. So what we've now done is we have sharpened the image. And again, if you zoom in to a bit, and we go undo and redo, hopefully you can see that it looks sharper.
Yeah,
the stars are sharper, and you can also see it's also made the slightly dark parts sharper as well. And more contrast between the two. Okay, so this is probably the most difficult process in PixInsight to master, the deconvolution, I would say.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Can see the difference.
If you've got less than 3 pixels per star, it's not worth doing deconvolution. You're undersampled. You can only really try deconvolution on something which is well sampled.
So when you say well sampled, but if you've got too many, I've heard you're supposed to bin.
So I personally don't think there's any danger in being oversampled.
Okay, so you wouldn't bin if you were significantly oversampled.
I wouldn't, unless you've got some enormous camera and you're having problems dealing with the number of pixels. I mean, you can get some. There's some just being released which have got 65 million pixels, and I can see that might cause problems. In which case, if you bin 2 by 2, they'd make it 16 million, which would be easier to deal with.
No,
that's the only time I bin. You may as well collect the data.
All right.
And certainly, it used to be that you took the advice was to go 1 by 1 binning in luminance, and 2 by 2 in color, maybe even 3 by 3 for broadband, for narrowband images. But these days, elite images all being 1 by 1. There's not really much downside in doing that.
So when you say bin 1 by 1, you mean don't bin?
Yes, don't bin. Just choose the original native size of the pixels. Yeah. The only drawback is you get more read noise, and the read noise these days is quite small, so you don't have to worry about it too much.
Colin, just with deconvolution, then there's the iterations, there's the de-ringing.
It's really the 2 parameters are the amount of global bright ringing protection, and the number of iterations. And what I found is that for my telescope and my camera, once I've set the global ringing, once I spent quite a while playing with it to get the right number, but once I've got it, that tends to work for all my images. So I suspect it'll be the same for you. When you get your own images, you might have to spend quite a while playing with that global de-ringing to get it right. But once you've got it right, it's probably good for the next set of images you're dealing with as well.
And that'll be largely determined by the optics and the sensor.
The optics, the sensor, and also how good your seeing is.
Yeah.
Okay. So yesterday, I don't know about you, but I found myself exhausted after 2.5 hours. So why don't we have a 5 or 10 minute break and then start again?
Okay,
sounds fair.
So we start again at 20. Let's see, 17 minutes past. That gives us 10 minutes to go and have a cup of coffee.
And how much longer do you think we've got after that today?
how much? Well, how long would you like to go for? I can stay until 4, but I'm happy to break earlier if people need to.
Easy.
I'm happy to go with 4.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So the next step is smoothing, and once we've done smoothing, we can then get on to doing the non-linear stretch, and then we can combine the luminance and the RGB. But if we do smoothing today, we'll have done well.
Fair enough.
Good.
That's good.
Right. So see you
See
at
you.
17 minutes past.
17 minutes past.
What do you do? Hang up or suspend or something?
I would just leave it.
Yeah.
Unless it's something we shouldn't be spying on, Nick.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye. Sorry. No, and then yeah, you feel like a lot of stuff. Look at the computer. I'm going to be on here. And obviously afterwards.
Well, you've got the north side here.
Yeah. And I found things that it's on the process of sorting out those no breakdown. A good job I did. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Not many people.
No, good.
Well, they must take longer to make their tea then.
You haven't been buying desks as well, have you?
Sorry?
You haven't been buying desks as well, have you?
Desks? No, no.
That seemed to be a theme of yesterday.
Oh, right. Neat. Mum and I were able to put a third screen up to make life easier with everything.
Yes.
Might do that. Is it just this week, this course?
Sorry? It's this week, yes.
Yeah, fine. Tim.
Gordon, hello.
How's it going?
All right, thank you. How about you? Are you getting on all right today?
I think I've caught up.
Good.
Apart from that last bit where I was doing what Colin was saying and I suddenly realised I was on the wrong image.
Ah, okay.
So
yeah.
I pressed up a bit there.
Yes, I pressed a button and it seemed to take me through a whole host of images and then leave me one which, when I did the convolution, complained about incompatible geometry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to go astray, isn't it?
A little bit.
But I think it's all making slightly more sense today, then.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're learning a bit?
It's going in somehow.
Well, well, one of the other things is, of course, that as part of the challenge as a beginner at any stage is, as has been demonstrated once or twice over the last 3 days, is trying to find where things are.
Yes.
And the more you use it, and the more, each day or each evening even of practice means that you don't have to scurry around trying to find which is the apply instance or apply global or reset or things like that.
Someone's brought a large amount of coffee into the room.
That was me.
Is there enough to hand around?
There is.
About 3 cups there.
I'll try that with my cup of tea.
Yeah. Was that an Easter egg?
I've discovered that it's a good way to keep me going to long, boring work meetings at work is to have a large pot of coffee.
I think I'm going to go through the videos and make a list of what we've done in the order. Then,
Yeah.
if we can get some other raw data from Colin of different ones, and then go through that with those. And
yeah, I think that's a good plan. I've been trying to do that as well. I've been trying to kind of write up a set of notes of what we've done step, but I haven't got very far with it yet. But I think that might be the secret to remembering it and then be able to do it again.
Yeah,
I think that's right. You just need to practice it and do it again.
Yeah, do it again with our own data or other data or whatever. Yeah,
I think that's right.
So, Colin, your telescope in Spain, is that part of your villa, or is that like a bit you've rented out from someone else?
It's a company called Astrocamp.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
They have about 30 telescopes there, and they provide the service.
Yeah.
So it's been difficult the last month. The weather's been awful, and then they've had a power cut, and of course they're all locked in, so they can't go up and look.
Yeah.
Go up to the observatory. Or I had a problem last night and actually did go up to the observatory, which I not thought they were actually supposed to do, but they went up and sorted it out for me. But it's still, the weather's still horrible, so it's not going to work for a while.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody back. Got Gordon, Jonathan, got Tim, got Nick, Martin, and Mark.
Yep.
Hi there.
Fantastic. Great. Okay, so the next bit is smoothing. Right. So the first thing to do, we're gonna remove the mask, and we're gonna delete all the previews. Okay. So we're working on the luminance filter again.
Sorry, do that. We've got to delete the mask. Delete the mask.
Remove the mask, and delete all the previews. Okay.
So no mask is up here.
And if you zoom in to a bit of the dark background, it's not bad, but what you can see is it's as you'd expect. It's quite noisy in the background, and in the dimmer parts of the galaxy where there's less data. It looks nice. It looks really nice in the bright parts of the galaxy. Lots of data there, lots of signal. But as you get a bit further away, it looks a bit noisier. So what we want to do is try and remove that noise and smooth out some of those images. But we only want to do that where there's no data. So again, we're going to be using masks to do that. But first of all, we need to make some measurements on the image. So again, we're going to create a small preview, and we're going to choose a sort of darkish part of the image. And then in process, sorry?
Do you want to share your screen?
It is being shared. Can you not see it?
No, all I can see is CM with the circle in the centre.
I can see it.
I can see it.
I don't see your screen, but there's just no image on it.
Definitely being shared. Can we ask other people see it?
Yeah.
I can.
Yes. Yes.
I can try and stop sharing and then resharing.
Yes, change then.
So it should be sharing again now.
I've just got a black screen with your initials in the centre in a circle. Don't know where that should be.
That's normally what it shows when it's not when it hasn't come through for whatever reason.
I might drop out of this and just come back in again.
Yeah, do you want to try that?
Yeah,
there is in the three little dots in the middle of the pane relating to the dialogue. At the bottom of there is turn off incoming video, and if that's turned off, then I guess the opposite is turn on.
If you turn it off, it turns off. It should just right. It's going to come back in again.
So I'm waiting to be let back in. Yay! Okay, now I can see everybody.
Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can tell Nick needs a shave. I can see the screen.
I haven't been panic buying shaving foam.
I thought this was the slow build up towards Christmas.
Okay, so can everybody see that? We've got, just going back to the luminance, all we've done it so far is we've cropped it, we've deconvolved it, and I just made a small preview in a sort of relatively blank part of the image.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we've got to do, under processes, under image, right at the bottom is something called statistics. And then it's a drop-down list which allows you to select a view. And what we're going to do is actually select that preview. So the preview one in the luminance image.
Sorry, which process was? Oh, all processes. I beg its pardon.
Process,
yeah.
Image, and then statistics.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that allows you just to see some numbers. And the one we're going to look at is the average deviation. Okay. So that's very like the standard deviation, but it's a slightly more robust thing. And if you've got any stars in there, it will remove the impact of stars. And what you can see is that that number is something like 8 times 10 to the minus 5.
Yeah.
Right. So make a note of that number because we're going to use it in a second.
So which one?
It's the one by the average deviation, AVG dev, and it's 8 times 10 to the minus 5.
Mine's a lot lower than that. Mine's 1.7.
Yeah, mine's 1.08.
Okay.
I don't seem to have a standard deviation. Is that something that's a setting like in? I see. Sorry. Yep, it's under
statistics options. You can probably choose which one you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
So is that standard deviation or average deviation?
Average deviation.
Yeah, so my average deviation is 1.08 something to the minus 4.
Minus 4. Okay, well that's not too different.
Isn't it? Oh, okay.
That's between 0.8 and 1.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So it just means you've chosen a slightly different part of the sky, but their numbers are reasonably the same. Okay. So next thing to do is again get rid of that preview because you don't need it. But again, the next thing we're going to do does take up some time. So again, we're going to try it out on a preview. So this time we want to have some blank space and some dim bits of the galaxy to try it out on, because that's where the smoothing actually happens. Okay, so I've chosen that top right section of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are lots of different smoothing algorithms here. I think they're all under noise reduction in your Process Explorer, but the one we're going to use is TGV denoise. And that stands for totalized general variance. Total general variance, I think it's called, denoise. And it's a mathematical technique. It's a very powerful mathematical technique for removing noise from something. And we are going to, and the two key number, the one key lever is the one that says edge protection. Right, everything else you can pretty much leave as is. And the advice is to set that to be the same number that you saw in the average deviation. So just so we can be consistent, let's say that that's equal to, let's assume that's 1 times 10 to the minus 4. So you'd make that 1 times 10 to the minus 4. Okay. The other thing you need to do is supply a mask. So again, you want to select the mask. This time we want to apply the luminance mask, but we want to invert it. We only want to apply it where the mask is actually a low value.
Sorry, how did you get the select mask?
So either mask,
No, got it.
select mask, Control M, or you can use the mask icons in the.
Yeah.
Okay, so select mask, luminance mask, but you want to make it inverted.
Why do you have to have opened the mask?
No, you don't have to open the mask. You can open it and drag it on as you would do. But this
Oh, it's just that mine seems to not have a current mask. Oh, that's because I need to. Oh, mine doesn't provide me with Loom mask.
So Control M, and as it says a new mask, and then it's a drop-down list, and you can choose which one you use. So I've got Star Mask, Loom Mask, and HDRW Mask. So the one you want is Loom Mask, whatever you called it, and you want to make sure it's inverted.
Oh, that's strange. Does Loom mask have to be?
Doesn't have to be open. No, it has to be there somewhere.
It's not. It is there, but it seems not to be invocable.
Okay.
If I just cancel that, open Loom mask there, and just for the purpose of this, to satisfy, go to mask and select mask.
Yeah, select mask. Yeah.
Then that Loom mask is not offered me as an option. It's got Star Mask, and why would that be?
Did you delete it? Is it there?
It's there. I've got it open.
Okay. So can you just apply it as you would normally by dragging it onto the bar?
Onto the Loom one.
Yeah.
Incompatible mask image.
Yeah. So I think you've got somehow the geometries are wrong.
Yes, that would account for some other observation I got. Okay, fine. Craig, I'll just watch what you're doing.
So I think you may have accidentally undone the cropping, or you applied the cropping twice, something like that.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Carry on without me. Well,
Right.
not without me, but.
So what you want to do is take the Loom, apply the Loom mask, but you want to invert it. So last time we wanted to operate on the bright bits of the image. Here we want to operate on the dim bits of the image. So you actually want to make it the inverse. Okay. So that's why you need to invert it. We're then going to open up the TGV denoise, which I think we already did, and we're going to set the edge protection to 1 times 10 to the minus 4. Everybody got that?
On your own image, you would do that to whatever average dev came out at.
That's right.
Okay.
And then we're going to apply that to the preview.
Well, that preview goes red.
Sorry?
When I select the mask, the preview goes red.
Okay. So what you want to do, again, you can under the mask menu, you've got one which is kind of show mask.
Yeah.
So if you click that, it will remove the mask. You'll get the tabs which have become an orange color to show there's a mask employed, but the image won't go red, so you can actually see what's underneath it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Then we apply the TGV noise.
Yeah. TGV noise to that.
To the whole thing.
No, to the preview.
Oh, too late. Oh, it's done it. Undo that.
Right. So just apply it to the preview, which will give you a nice zoomed in view.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that now. Okay.
And if you, while you're on the preview, if you press Control Shift Z, that will toggle between the original view and the smooth view. And if it's like me, what you can see is, yes, you've certainly smoothed it, but we've smoothed it too much.
Yeah.
You can see some stars disappearing. You can see a bunch of structure in the galaxy disappearing, and it just doesn't look very nice.
Okay.
Has everybody got the same thing?
Yeah.
Well, the zoomed in level, yeah, you see, as you say, so it's Control Shift Z.
Control Shift Z, and that just basically toggles you between the original state and the after you put the process on it. Okay, so you can compare the two. So that's showing you we've actually smoothed it too much, and again, that's typically what I found. So although the advice is to use the number that you've got there, I've typically found the factor of 10 smaller is the right answer. So we're going to change it to 10 to the minus 5.
So how many zeros before the 1?
0.123 so 0.00001. But it's easier just to look at the index on the far right, which is said minus.
Yeah. Didn't see.
Yeah, and then drag the slider down to 1.
Yeah.
And now, if we look at it, you can see that it has smoothed, but it hasn't got very many stars or any actually nice bits of data. It has smoothed the background. Everybody see that?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was wondering whether you had to undo the first one or not, but you don't.
You don't. Not on a preview, you don't have to.
Okay.
Okay. And again, that's typically what I found is that the number, if you go down to about 1/10 of the number from the standard deviation, that's about right. Otherwise, it's just too much. Okay. And so when we've done that, we can then apply that to the main image.
Colin, could you just comment? Should you drag the triangle onto the image or press the red square, the blue square?
I suspect either will work.
Right.
Try in a minute.
I must admit, I mean, I have some differences, but they're not massive.
No, they're quite subtle. Okay. But another way to look at that is if you bring up the histogram transformation.
Can't remember where that is.
So that was, I think, under intensity transformations.
Or in your favourites.
And you tick the. I don't think we're going to see it. No, I was hoping you could see it, but I don't think we will. So again, if you take the screen transfer function and drag it down, that will show you what the distribution will look like once you've transformed it. If you then select the image and do an undo, you can see that what it's done is it's kind of sharpened the distribution. It's brought it down to make it narrower, and that's typical of smoothing. It makes that distribution a bit narrower. And but it is quite subtle. It's very easy to overdo smoothing. And of course, this data is very good quality. It's got, it's about I can't remember how many hours we said in there yesterday, but sort of like 10 or 15 hours, something of data in here. Yeah, 87. So it's more than it's almost 15 hours of high quality data in here. So you don't need that much smoothing here. So when we've done that, once we've applied the TGVT noise, we're going to do the same thing, but on the RGB image. So You don't have to go and look at the statistics anymore. The statistics will be broadly the same. You can use exactly the same parameters. So I'm not going to talk you through this, so you can try it out. So apply the mask with the inversion, and then reapply the TGB denoise, the RGB, with the same parameters you used before.
Can't find it.
I'm going to
Sorry, you just said, did you say deconvolution or TGV?
TGB denoise.
Yeah, right. I was going to apply deconvolution onto RGB. I don't know why.
That'll take a long time. Now, the TGB denoise,
Yeah.
you can just apply it with exactly the same parameters you did to the luminance. Just got to remember, you apply the luminance mask inverted.
Fine.
And it will take a lot longer because there's 3 channels to apply it to.
I cannot find my RGB image.
Nor can I.
And I do open recents, I can't see it there either.
So you may have called it something different. Remember, there were 2 yesterday. We did, and all we did was correct the color balance. So it's one of those 2. It was earlier on because you looked at it in the History Explorer.
Yeah, I still can't find it though.
So if you go to Window and arrange icons, it will bring them all up in the top right-hand corner.
Yeah. Nice idea. But there's nothing there.
Can you remind me which mask we're supposed to be doing this with?
The luminance mask, which is the one for some reason it's different size view.
Yes, that's fine. In which case, I'll continue to watch.
So we're dragging the TGV noise onto this, aren't we?
TGV denoise, yeah. So you're applying it to the mask there.
Oh, it's done something.
All right.
I think I found it. I'm not really sure. It's not a galaxy thing with colours.
Did you say we had to invert the mask?
This is inverted, yeah. Because again, you only want to apply the smoothing to the dark parts of the image, not the bright parts.
I think I've been copying Nick. My mask is obviously a different size.
Yes.
That's not actually, it must be because it fits on the luminance, but it won't fit on the RGB.
Okay, so somehow you've either perhaps not applied the crop to the luminance mask.
Yep.
Or to the luminance frame, which you then created everything from.
Yeah.
I got my mask from Zorro.
So what I'll do,
Mine have all disappeared off the screen.
when we finish today, I will move my process. I'll save the project and I'll move it onto Dropbox, and you can copy it from there, so you can take the everything.
Yeah. Right.
Onwards.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
So those of you who have mailed to do this, has everybody got any problems? Has everybody managed to do that? Move both of them?
Good.
Yeah.
Yep, all good.
Okay, excellent. So the next stage is to put a permanent stretch in. So the only trick here is to remember to remove the masks. Otherwise, it'll look very bizarre when you do that. So again, exactly the same things we've done before as we did the mask yesterday. Under the intensity transformation, open up histogram transformation and screen transfer function. So you click.
Are we on the RGB or the luminance now?
Either one.
Okay.
Yeah. So you click. You click, and what you can also do, if you control click, that'll open up the parameters it uses to determine the stretch. And sometimes you want to target with a target background. So, for example, you could put number 0.15 in there and then apply it. And what the beauty of that is it dims the background. However, when you do that, you actually lose the Holmberg galaxy. So you probably want to stay at 0.25 here so you can actually see the Holmberg galaxy after we stretched it. So you leave it at 0.25, stretch it, put the nuclear button, drag it down on there, and then apply the square button to do the transform. Do exactly the same thing for the RGB. Drag it down and then apply.
Would you mind going through that again, Colin, in a second?
Yeah. So if we do it for the luminance image, you open up the screen transfer function and the histogram transformation.
Yeah.
You press the nuclear waste button to stretch it. You then take the new instance, a little triangle from the screen transfer function, and drop it down on the bottom grey bar of the histogram transformation. And then you press the square button on the histogram transformation, and that should make your screen go white. You then cancel the screen transfer function on the luminance, and that's then applied a permanent stretch.
Aha.
So it's the triangle from the screen transfer function onto the histogram transformation.
That's it.
And then the triangle from the histogram transformation onto the image. Is that right?
That's it. That's it. Perfect.
Thank you.
And then you do the same thing, exactly the same thing for the RGB. You actually want to rework the transformation. You actually want to make sure you don't want to apply exactly the same thing you applied to the luminance. It'll be slightly different. So again, you apply the nuclear waste button, drag that down, and then apply it.
I've ended up with a white lump.
Yeah, if you've got a white lump, then what you need to do is stop applying the screen transfer function. So you effectively done it. It's exactly the same things we did with the mask yesterday. You've got the screen transfer function, and then you've applied the histogram transformation. So you need to undo the screen transfer function, which you do by clicking the reset screen transfer function.
Which is
button.
It's not doing it. It's still white.
It's still white. In that case, you may have done something like apply it twice.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So when I take it off, it has done it permanently, and it looks fine actually.
Okay, that's good. That's right then. Yeah. So you should notice now that you don't have. You shouldn't have the green bar down the side, and it should still look like a normal image you can actually see.
Yes.
I've still got the green bar. What have I done wrong?
So press the cancel screen transfer function button.
Yeah, I did that. That's on the toolbar at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Reset
but I've still got green bars on both images.
It shouldn't be there.
Oh.
So mine disappears when you click the reset. So it's not the nuclear waste button, it's the one with a cross next to it.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
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 Got it?
Yeah.
All right. So what we've now done is we've stretched both images. All right. And the final step we're going to do today is just to combine the two images. So we go to the process icon, color spaces, and LRGB combination. Now we've actually got the RGB in one image, but what we're going to do is apply the luminance to it. So you want to untick R, G, and B. And then for the luminance, use the little icon on the right to select the view, and we're going to choose the luminance to add to it. Right. The other thing we're going to do is tick the chrominance noise reduction. You all got that?
Yep.
Yes. So we've told it the source image to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess drop the triangle onto the RGB. That's where it associates the two.
Yeah. And the other thing to do is to tick the chrominance noise reduction box.
Yeah, got that. Yeah.
Okay. And it will go away, and it will spend most of its time actually denoising the chrominance.
Sorry, what do we do? We apply it or drop the triangle on it?
Either way, I think.
Well, okay.
Onto the RGB.
Onto the RGB. Okay.
And if you go backwards and forwards between the two, it generally looks better. We've got quite a lot of data in the RGB image here, but it generally looks better with the combined image.
So
should look a
can
bit
you just
sharper.
talk us through which one is which? Because I'm only looking at yours.
Okay, so this is the combined image of the two. I've zoomed it in a bit.
Yeah.
And this is the non-combined. So if you go in, if you then combine them, it's typically a bit sharper because we've applied deconvolution, and it's a bit crisper, and you get slightly better contrast.
And deconvolution was applied to the luminance only, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I right in thinking the key thing is that we're doing all this on the RGB image and not on the luminance image?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So you've told it that you're applying the luminance image to the RGB image. Essentially, what it does, it takes the luminance from the luminance thing, combines it with a color from the RGB thing, and then combines the two together.
Okay.
And am I right in thinking that, if you like, an error or a failure on PixInsight's part is that the new identifier doesn't seem to have indicated that it's RGB plus lum?
It's absolutely consistent with everything else you've done in PixInsight. It only changes when you've decided to do that.
So
if you go back to the History Explorer, however,
and
choose the RGB, you can see what we've done. We've combined it, we've changed its name, we've cropped it, we've neutralized the background, we've color calibrated it, we've denoised it with the inverse of the luminance mask. That tilde means the inverse of it. We've made a histogram transform to make it non-linear, and then we've combined it with the LRGB combination.
Yeah. So just for sort of simple minds, probably changing the identifier would be the simple solution to that.
If that's what you wanted to do, yeah. I tend not to bother, but you can if you want to.
To avoid confusion, that's all.
Yeah, you can do that. Okay. And I think that's where we should leave it for today. And tomorrow we can look at doing something interesting to bring out a bit more detail in the galaxy, and also to increase the color saturation.
All right.
Okay, good.
Unfortunately, I may not be able to join you tomorrow, but if you send me the video for tomorrow, I'll both post it and try and look at it.
Okay, great.
And Colin, is there, in the path of things might be done, a brief opportunity to look at how to add HA to RGB? Doesn't need to be done. It's fine.
I think it's certainly possible to do it, but it is quite complicated.
No, that's fine. No, I'll read it up. That's fine.
I don't know if you'll actually get a good description of it, but essentially you have to subtract the HA data from the red data from you take the HA data, you subtract off the RGB data to see what's effectively to leave you with what's only the additional HA, and then you have to add it back again to the R. So it's quite difficult. There's a lot of sort of smoothing steps in there to make it work.
No, indeed, I could imagine that, because otherwise you need to end up with the maximum of 1, as it were, don't you, in the red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin, just so we can save where we were, I take it we go file. Do we do save project? So we
save project, yeah. And you can just put exactly the same one as yesterday.
Just for info, and I've just tried this, my luminance was the wrong size, hadn't been cropped. But going back to the RGB history file and dragging the dynamic crop onto the luminance, cropped it to the right size, and it now makes a mask.
Perfect. That's
great. Just amazed.
Some things work out.
Absolutely. Right, now all I've got to remember is all the rest of the stuff, make the colour one.
Yeah.
TGV denoised it.
Colin, just one thing for me. All your icons that are over on the far right.
Yeah.
Could you move them into the middle a bit further before you save the file?
Does it? If you do the align, does it actually work for you?
No.
You do the window arrange icon.
Way off in the right corner, and I can't get most of them.
Interesting.
Can you move the lines by
have you got
dragging
scroll
it?
bars appearing on your screen or not?
I can get them, yes, but I still can't get far enough to the right. I expect it's because I'm working on a laptop. I don't think anybody else is.
I'll move them over, and hopefully that will help you tomorrow.
That would be great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. I will save that now, and I will transfer it to the Dropbox. And I will do the same thing with the video. I may be running out of space in my Dropbox.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Colin.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, brilliant. Hey, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much once again.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Jonathan
is now exiting.